What's up, everybody, and welcome to the No BS Real Estate Show, a podcast that gives you an inside look on how to make smart financial decisions while adding value to your life. I'm Matty Miller with ERA Real Estate, alongside my co-host and real estate investor extraordinaire, Ryan Robbins. Whether you're a long-time investor or a first-time buyer, join us as we dig through the everyday bullshit of real estate. Mr. Ryan Robbins, how are you, sir?
Matt Miller, we're here. We made it.
It's a Thursday afternoon. Trying to get some things done, wrapping my day up, but wanted to get the podcast going today. So talking about how to list your home successfully. Not your home, but how to list a home successfully, and just a few tips on how to do that. So a little bit of a change up in the show, just kind of going through some tips with whatever topic we're talking about. We'll try to shorten it up for you guys out there and make it your drive time podcast.
There you go.
That's the
short,
goal.
Simple, and to the point.
Absolutely. So, I have three topics. Ryan has three tips. I have three tips as well, and we'll go into it. But so how to list your home successfully. So we're entering a time in the year right now that, at least in our market here, it's been so easy to list a property and get it sold. So you haven't really had to work at it. The market's been so hot. So now you're entering a time of the year that you need to sell your property now. How do you do that? And what are the little things you need to pay attention to? Because now the details are starting to come in. And the more the market shifts into a downturn where it becomes a buyer's market versus a seller's, the more things you do when you list your home become so much more important. The little things, like my tip number one is often forgotten. Just declutter your house. No one wants to see your shit. And it's so simple because you walk into some of these houses and they have so much stuff everywhere, and it's just like, okay, it almost overwhelms a buyer, and people just don't think about it. But it's my style or it's my stuff, and I like that. Well, that's great, but we need your help. Let's come in the middle of things. So I'm assuming you've been in some houses like that as well.
Well, on the investment side, we run into that very often, but a lot of times you got to realize people can't see past paint colors, let alone your grandmother's furniture or your favorite collectibles. So that's where the less you have in your closets, in your living spaces, the better it's going to show, better it's going to appear to those that don't have as great of an imagination as others. Yeah,
especially I often find it with a kitchen more than anything, because a lot of people have kitchens and they have food everywhere, or food sitting on the countertops, tchotchkes and whatnot sitting all over the place. And the kitchen is the first thing that, as a potential buyer, that's one of the first things that you're going to walk in and look at. As human beings, we spend a lot of time, especially me, fatty old me, and like to eat and cook. I like to spend a lot of time in the kitchen, so that's a very important room for me. So when I walk in, or when my buyers walk in, they're going to look at the kitchen. Hey, can you see yourself cooking in here, entertaining, whatnot? That's one of the things, like, hey, make that a clean space. That should be sanitary, and it should be cleaned, and there shouldn't be junk everywhere. So clean that crap up, man.
And cleaning and decluttering is not stuffing in the closet, in the pantry, in whatever, because as a buyer, you're walking through and I want to know what I can put in my closet and what I can put in the cabinets. And you're going to open it up, and if you see it's just loaded, what's the buyer going to think? Well, we've got no room for our stuff if they have no room for theirs. So again, as crazy as it sounds, take it up, box it. If you've got extra room in your garage where it'll be kind of out of sight, out of mind, or
put it in the storage unit.
Place you're moving in. Yeah, storage. There you go. Take half the clothes away that you're not going to wear or you never wear anyway, and put them away. Your closet's going to appear twice as big.
I just had a situation. I had a buyer, and he was going in this house, and they had a pod outside their house. So I'm like, they had the pod locked. So I don't know how much stuff was in there, but I got a pretty good idea that they basically stripped their house down, and the realtor probably made them, which is good on her because the house showed well, and we actually bought that house.
Yep.
Well, basically, they just stripped down everything, put a bunch of stuff in the pod, and probably, again, they were going to move it eventually, but this was all the stripped down stuff. It may have only been half full. They just stripped down all the stuff, put it in the pod. It showed awesome. We bought the house. It closed 35 days later, and we were ready to roll. So it was actually pretty sweet on that. But yeah, they basically just strip it down to the bare minimum what you need to where it looks like it's lived in, but it's not vacant. Like
Yeah.
that's kind of the thing. So it looks like really clean people in there live in there, even though you're not really clean. It's fine. No one has to know that. But
And
yeah,
to that point, bare minimum isn't always better. You don't want one lawn chair, over in the
no,
corner
yeah.
where it's, hey, who got all this room?
We don't need to put blow up furniture in the middle either.
Yeah,
So
no.
yeah, but
Healthy
yeah, that
balance there.
and just to top it off is clean things, clean, deep, clean things. Make sure things are freaking clean. If
Yes.
they're not clean, and it's again, I've walked into houses that are $500,000, and you walk in and you're like, y'all couldn't even clean this thing. Come on, man. Like really? Like it
No.
happens. It's crazy, and I'm just like, ugh, whatever. And that's one thing that people need to explain when they do list their houses is they're living in a glass bubble at that point in time. People are going to come in, they're going to see how you live, they're going to do this, they're going to do that. So make sure you're prepared for that when you do list your home.
Piggybacking off of your tip there, this kind of goes hand in hand to some sense, but my tip would be know what type of buyer you're looking to target.
Okay.
So now, not everybody's going to be selling a property that they currently live in. Maybe it's an investment property. So to that, if you're going to be targeting an investor or a family, and it just happens to be your investment property that there's a tenant living in, you need to know that, the type of, I guess, buyer essentially that's going to be coming through your property, which to the decluttering sense, if you own a investment property that you've neglected for the last 5 years and it's a disaster, probably don't need to go in there and declutter it because it is what it is.
It is what it
But if
is.
it's a
Yep.
property you've owned, you've kept up with, and a tenant's moved out that you want to list, well, then you're going to probably go back through there and do some things you wouldn't have otherwise.
Hire a cleaner for X amount, and it might end up, a cleaner for $300 or $400, and it might end up, getting you an extra $2,000 or $3,000 on your offer because it does appear to be cared for.
Yes.
That's the thing. If it appears to be cared for, people look at it differently, which is absolutely true. If it appears to be an afterthought, like, hey, this is an investor. I had this house and it was a rental, and I just let it go. Well, they just assume if you're the buyer and you have an investor friend of yours going over to look at it, you just assume now that they don't really care about the property that much, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're going to lowball that offer even just a little bit more to try to get your buyer a little bit better of a deal.
And to that, we're in Jacksonville, which, we're right by the beach here. There's a lot of properties you go into, depending on where you're at, they're beach themed. Well, if you're out in the mountains and you put a beach theme, or vice versa, your buyer demographic will be drastically different. So that's something, again, to keep in mind. Just your decor alone, as you're dressing up your house, dress it for kind of the area you're in as well.
Believe it or not, I've been in a house in a suburb of here in St. Johns County. And for anybody listening, you know what I'm talking about. But it literally was this like Montana lodge feeling. And I'm like, I get the fact that you want to decorate it that way, but it just totally did not vibe. And it was like, this is weird. It was strange. It was. I mean, it's not like it was right on the beach.
That falls right into knowing your target buyer, because there's people out there in St. John's and Duval County that want to have a place in the mountains that may love that. But most people out here are looking for some sort of beachy vibe to it. So changing up your colors before you list it, your decor, that'll go a long way to attract.
We live here for the weather, not the snow in the mountains and the deer running in the range.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
Not the scenery for the most part.
Yeah, no, for sure. So tip number 2 for me, I love this tip, by the way, and it's so simple. Pre-listing inspections. When I say pre-listing inspections, a lot of times when I come into a seller's house, we're going to walk through it. I sell a lot of my rentals out of my property management portfolio too. So I'll come in, we'll have a tenant there. I typically know what's going on with the property ahead of time anyway. So what I'll tell that owner is I actually pay for it. I'll pay my inspector about $200. He'll go out there. He'll do a pre-listing inspection. In other words, it's the same as a house inspection. It's just not as in depth because he doesn't have to do all the paperwork and everything from that aspect to be able to give to a seller and then give also to the buyer. And on the other side, he basically just gives it to us. What that allows us to do is it takes care of all the issues before they ever become issues. So if you have a situation where, hey, if I was doing an inspection on this house, I would ding you for X, X, and X. And whether that be the, let's see, what's a common one? Electrical panel needs to be secured. You got two things that are arcing. We need to get that handled. Okay, great. So that doesn't come up in an inspection. Hey, I'm going to pre-call the electrician. He's going to come over there. He's going to fix that even before we ever list the property. And then it's never going to come up in the inspection. Yeah. That's the greatest thing in the world. So, or hey, that AC's old. Let's get it serviced and let's make sure it's going right. Or let's see, wood rot is another one that comes up all the time. Wood rot. Hey, I'm gonna ding you for that. Boom. Let me send my contractor over there. Let me get all the wood rot taken care of before we list it. That way, there's no issues. When that person comes in there and they know, okay, hey, they've done this, and this, and they don't find anything on their inspection, they're like, oh, great, this is awesome. Fantastic. Well, now, inevitably, an inspector might pick up something differently than ours.
Yeah.
Because all inspectors are different. So
that's going to fall right into play with almost setting up the buyer, because if there's a VA or FHA loan, the WDO stuff's going to need to be taken care of. So if you're doing it ahead of time, look, it's making the rest of the transaction go smoother.
Yeah, exactly. And the smoother it can be, obviously, for the buyer and the seller, the better off it's going to be. I mean, if you literally don't have to go through a repair agreement and negotiations on repairs. And a lot of people, especially like first-time buyers, they don't even know what to do. They like kind of ask for everything. And it's, to be fair, we mentioned in our last show, is like you don't get to ask for everything on an older home or a resale. You get to ask for everything on a new home, but you're going to pay for it. So that's kind of the way that goes. But a lot of people just don't even know how to. Well, what can I ask for? How much money can I get out of this off the sale price if he doesn't want to do the repairs or whatever that situation is. So as a seller, if you really want to make a smooth transaction and get it closed quickly, do a pre-listing inspection, have a guy come out, take care of most things that are within reason, of course. If your inspector comes out and says, hey, your roof's old, and it's got 4 years left on it, well, great, I'm just going to sell it with a 4-year left roof. You're still going to be able to get financing. You're still going to be able to sell it. But hey, this is the situation. Okay, great. Not something that is having to be done, but again, something that's just a feature of the property that's not going to change. That's fine. But yeah, so things like that. So pre-listing inspections, it's paid off huge dividends for me, man. I've loved it. So I've done it on the last few listings, probably in the last 6-8 months.
This tip, you would think we're setting this up, but this almost goes again hand in hand. My tip too is value add versus non-value add. So
perfect.
This is what I guess the conversation you're going to have after you do your listing inspection here, or pre-listing inspection. So that's my tip number 2. What are you going to do to your property before it hits the market that's going to add value, as opposed to things that don't make a difference and essentially are just a waste of money?
Yep.
Which take your pre-listing checklist there. Take your pre-listing inspection and go down through that and see what's worth it for whatever reason, and go forward with those. So some of the things where you may get more money out of would be, I'd say probably your most beneficials are kitchens and baths. Although if you don't have the money to upgrade those, there is lesser things you could do, like landscaping for one, has a fantastic return. It's going to bring up your curb appeal. It's going to bring more buyers naturally that are interested in your property over to check it out. So that would be,
and it's inexpensive. That's it's inexpensive. Like I said, landscaping is like, dude, take care of your yard. Like, put some fresh mulch down. Put some fresh mulch down. Hire a professional landscaper. Have them edge it. Do all those things. Even if it's not a great property, just have them come out there and just literally spend $300-400 on getting the curb appeal up, and it'd be amazed how far that'll go.
Yeah. Even you could pay a long guy probably an extra $50 just to do an extra edge, trim your bushes up. You don't have to get too crazy, depending on how long you've left it. Again, we're not talking thousands of dollars, but your return is probably the most. That's probably, I would say, where you get the biggest return is simple landscaping. Another one, you'll probably get a big bang for your buck, which just falls right back into. You just froze a little bit there. Are we still good video-wise?
You're still good. We're still good.
So I'm gonna
network connection is not looking great, but that's.
Oh boy,
it's okay.
We're good.
You're good though. We're good.
So here's the other thing I want to call out. So my camera's there. this is me looking at me. This is me looking at you. That's me looking at the camera. How we off?
No, we're good. We're all
We're
good.
all over
We're all
the
good. I
place.
promise.
So, camera angles are not going to add value. So, especially for those listening via the radio here. But to that,
Really,
paint would be another thing. Getting people by, their lack of imagination or ways to recreate a space.
Oh, and you're back. And you're back. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. He's back. Looks like the connection's back, and we're back with video, and I can hear you now. I'm not sure what happened there.
I just gave away all the secrets, and that's it. They're gone forever.
All right, so reiterate what the hell you were talking about there.
So
kitchens and baths, I think is what you said. I think I caught that in there.
Where did I drop you off?
Well, we talked about basically landscaping and got to that, but like kitchens and bathrooms, there's things you can do there. Something as simple as like adding a backsplash, something like that maybe you haven't done that can add a little bit of more of a bang when you walk into the kitchen, adding a backsplash. Even like people always think that vanities are really expensive. If you had an older vanity, you really get into the costly items when you talks about showers and baths. A new vanity.
You can pick one up at a Home Depot or Lowe's for a couple $100, and it's going to change the entire look.
Yep, exactly. So vanities are one thing that I always tell people. I'm like, hey, grab a new vanity, stick that in there. It's got a new vanity. It's got a new sink that comes in it. It's already molded into it or whatever. May cost you $300-400 to really get a high end one and get it installed, but that can go a long way.
And for those DIYers, that's a fun weekend project too.
Yep, absolutely. I can do plumbing. I do plumbing. I just don't do electric. It's one thing I do.
Call him up.
Mess with electric.
Call up. Not only does Matty sell, Matty plums.
Matty plums. Matty does not sell, or Matty does not do electric. Matty would get zapped. MattyGetsZapped.com. So that's probably a new, spin-off website. But yeah, those are good points too. So, Ryan, do you know what time it is?
I couldn't tell you. I don't have a watch. I have. What time is it, man?
Oh my gosh. Never mind. I lost the gong sound anyway. But it's time for the Real Estate Sensei tip of the week.
And you don't have the gong?
I don't have the gong. I don't know what happened.
It's the connection. We're going to blame it on the connection again.
I don't know what happened to my gong. I think I just did a school bell. That works. Okay. So school's in session, guys.
Here we go.
When it comes to buying or selling, if you wait until you're ready, you will be waiting until the rest of your life. Very simple. Guys, if you're actually going to think about buying, especially first-time home buyers, get with the right people. They'll push you down the road. The right people meaning the right agent, the right lender. If you're really serious about it, make those calls. Don't wait. I've done it. I've waited too long in my life. I should have been buying houses at 22 years old instead of 25. I wish I would have done it 3 years earlier, 4 years earlier, and everything I did. So yeah, don't wait. Just go do it. Go do it. Go buy. Go sell. Whatever you need to do. If you need to upgrade and because you want a bigger house or you're making more money and you want to, have a place on the beach, by all means, call us. We'll sell you a house on the beach. I promise. And we'll sell your other one too. So we'll make it smooth. Which I believe goes right into your last tip of finding the right agent.
Yes. So I guess that kind of would be the end of your analysis paralysis, as I would like to say. If you're going to think about it and never make a move, you're going to find an agent. And what are you going to do when you're looking out for an agent? A little bit of everything. You want to look at reviews. You're going to want to look at maybe areas they specialize in. You don't necessarily want to go with a commercial broker that sells strip malls. If you're looking for, you're
looking to buy your first single family residence.
Yeah, exactly. And vice versa to that matter. So things to look out for when you're looking for an agent. You have anything that comes to mind? You're going to get on Zillow. You're going to try to go on Google for reviews. Are you looking for somebody more, hey, this guy's got the same type of personality, the same age? I
think it's a personality match for a lot of people. And I think that, typically, and I've seen it happen a lot, and it's happened for me over the last couple of years with a group of people that I've kind of sold to. I play a lot of slow pitch softball, so it's kind of one of my hobbies. But I've sold a house to. I've done about 6, 7 deals with slow pitch softball friends. So again, we all hang out on the weekends. We hang out during the weeknights. We have the same interests. We behave the same way. We're old baseball guys. It's kind of a thing we do. So I do sell a lot of houses to those people. Those people also happen to be Navy. So I get some Navy influence off of that as well. But yeah, those kind of people. So for me, it's a personality match. The area town, I hear people call themselves a beach specialist all the time, or I only sell the beach or whatever. And then you look up their statistics as an agent and they're selling a house in Orange Park,
Yeah.
which, by the way, for you people that don't know, but Jacksonville, that's 50 minutes on the other side of the river, nowhere close to the beach, where they're selling a house in Riverside or whatever.
Or they've done five sales all year.
Yeah.
Yet they're
Yeah, they've done 5 sales for
they're a market guru.
1.3 million dollars in total volume, and you're going, all right, okay, sure.
Not the
Beach
specialist
expert.
I was thinking
Yeah.
of. So, like anything else, you can also interview agents, which there you're going to find your personality match. You can ask what they've done sale wise, where do they specialize in, and then you quiz them.
I think most people. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think I've ever gotten asked how many houses have I sold.
No,
I really don't think I think part of that is if you walk in there as an agent, if you walk in there with confidence and you walk in there and you know what you're doing and the questions that they ask you, you answer properly, you're going to be fine. And here's the deal. Let's not lie about it. There's a lot of idiot agents out there, in every market. So, and people may say, hey, well, I really need to give it to Jenny because she's my cousin's sister and she really needs the help right now. Well, okay, do that, but expect that you're probably going to have a rocky transaction.
yeah,
And the other side is personal referrals are huge. So if you had somebody that that just bought a house or sold a house, ask them who they used. Ask them if they enjoyed the experience because they'll tell you. They'll be honest. I mean, they're not going to lie to you. Hey, we had such a big problem. And it may not even be the agent's fault. It could have been a financing issue. It could have been an inspection issue. But at the same time, the agent's job is to make all that stuff go smoothly.
yeah. Or what do they do to help you out?
Take pressure off of the actual seller themselves or buyer.
Yeah.
So that's kind of their job. So yeah. So personal referrals for me, I think personality matches. And again, you've heard the two things that I've said. I said the tomb. Halloween's over now. Get over it. I've said the word person twice. So personal referrals and personalities. That to me is real estate in a nutshell. It's a person to person business. And I think that's where you have to be comfortable with people.
I can dig it. What do you got? What's your last tip here?
My final one, and probably the most important, is the 3 pricing strategies. So regardless of market, and I'll kind of just dive into them real quick. So you have overpricing, pricing over the market. You have pricing under the market, and you have pricing right on with the market. We could spend a whole podcast on that. As far as which market are you selling in a rising market? Are you selling in a declining market? Are you selling in a stagnant market? We're going to take market out of the question here, and we're just going to say, hey, we're going to assume that it's a fairly increasing market, because right now most of the United States still is. So we're going to say, hey, it's a fairly increasing market. So if we overprice the property, ultimately what's going to happen is if you overprice it, and I'll even kind of make a video illustration here, we overprice the property and the market's trending up. Ultimately, the market's going to get there, right? So the market's going to get there. It's going to catch up eventually. Or the other option is, if it's going here and we price it here, we can obviously always come down and settle. So that's the other option. So ultimately, we overprice. Say we have a house for $200,000 and we list it for $225,000. Okay. Somebody comes to us and says, "Man, I'll give them $205,000." Okay, great. Accept. Bam. We accepted it. And here's the deal. In the back of our minds, we knew that, hey, we'd take 200. We knew that the market value was 200, but we got 205 because we marketed it. Because we listed it above the market value. That's strategy number one. And probably the most commonly used also, just because people think that they're always going to get more than what they want to, but that's not always the case. So Understand that, and a good agent will explain that stuff to you too. So understand that too. If they don't know the three different pricing strategies, like, hey, what's our pricing strategy? If you ask that to an agent and the agent looks like you, like what they're doing. Hey, what is our pricing? Well, we're just going to price it with the market. Huh. Okay. What exactly does that mean?
What is the market? What's it doing?
Yeah. What's the market doing? Yeah. So if they don't know they don't know those questions, then probably got issues. The second one is kind of underprice it. And if you're in an area where I had a house earlier this spring that we underpriced, and we kind of knew we underpriced it a little bit. This was last spring. The market was kicking like crazy. So 7 months ago, it was just nuts. So we underpriced it a little bit, and we ended up getting like 6 offers in 24 hours. So basically, we went back to them all and said, "Hey, we're going to do a highest and best, and get your highest and best to us by Friday at 4 o'clock." Well, we listed that house for $200,000. We ended up selling it for about 212. So again, the market for it was probably 205 ish. We ended up getting more because the inventory was low in that neighborhood, and it was a very affordable neighborhood for the area. It was one of the lower end neighborhoods in a nice up and coming area, so people were dying to get in there. So we underpriced it. Boom, 6 offers, elevated the price. We ended up getting more than our asking value. So in the previous example, we got $5,000 more. In this example, we ended up getting about $7,000 more. So same different strategies, yep. Same result. The last one, and probably the simplest one is price it right on with the market. If you do a good CMA and you understand your comparables, you should have an idea of where exactly that house is going to sell for. You should know. So that would be the last thing. And you write on sales, and the easiest way to do that is, okay, well, if I price it right on, understand what the saturation rate is in your market. If it's 6 months or whatever, and it's the average days on market is 35 days, we'll expect it to be 35 days for that house to sell if you price it right at the market. So anything to elaborate on there?
This all falls right back into picking that agent. So any agent you're going to go with should be able to tell you what type of market you're in, what it's trending to, and have a pretty good idea of, okay, to your point, if you're going to be underpriced, you should expect multiple offers within the first, day, 2 days, 3 days, whatever that time frame may be. Hey, we're going to go and we're going to overprice that. As long as we know we're overpricing it and we're aware, we may be on the market a little longer.
Correct.
And again, that plays into knowing exactly the type of buyer you're going to target, what you are as a seller. Are you looking to move quickly? Or you have time to waste?
It also plays into the seller's personal goals. If they got relocated and have to sell tomorrow, that's one thing that we're going to take into, okay, we might want to go underprice and try to get as many bids as we can in quickly. We're certainly not thinking that overpricing is going to be the case, because that's obviously going to take longer. So time is also a consideration on all three of these as well, because obviously the underprice, you're going to have offers quick. The overprice is going to take a little bit more time. That could take 90 days to 180 days, somewhere in there, if you really want to go there. And then obviously you're right on, you're pricing it with the market directly on. Might be 30 to 45 days before you have something. And by the way, those days are not like anything concrete. It's just an estimation of no.
You're good.
So and that's typically in our market what we've seen over the last few months. So if you're doing it right. So
sometimes people will think, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but sometimes people think underpricing your home, you're leaving money on the table. But depending on the market, depending on what it's doing, you could actually make out better.
Correct.
Better than you would have, because if it's a downtrending market and you're overpriced, you're going to be chasing that down the hill. You're going to be losing out way more than you could have if you priced it.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, if it's a declining market and you overprice it and you continue to drop it, the market keeps dropping it,
and you price it overpriced, but we're going up, you're going to hit it at some point. But if you're going down, everybody's going down.
And the market's going down, you're just going to keep chasing it down the ski slope.
Correctly. Yep.
For sure. And that was yeah. So, and the one thing about overpricing it too is that statistically speaking, that was the last thing I was going to leave us with, because we got to wrap this up. Was the fact that it's once your house hits 21 days, basically as a realtor and as an agent, it's a little bit stale. People are going to start saying, "What's wrong with it? Why does it not have an offer?" Once it hits 21 days, that's the statistical analysis of realtors. 21 days, we assume something's wrong with it.
3 weeks.
It's a psychological thing.
Needing help with the math. 3 weeks.
Yeah, 3 weeks. So if you get past 3 weeks and you don't have an offer and you haven't sold anything, there's a good chance that it could sit a lot longer. Okay, and you're not going to get your asking price. So those strategies, those pricing strategies are very, very important. And again, we could do a whole podcast on those and really breaking things down on how we do it. That might be a little high level for some of us, or for some of our listeners, if we have any. But
we'll get there.
We'll just assume we have at least 5, and go from there. So, well, hey man, thanks for joining me. We are gonna wrap this thing up. How do they get in touch with you?
So, I don't think we told them last time. NoBSRealEstatePodcast.com, guys.
NoBSRealEstatePodcast.com.
You can find us there. We're going to be adding not only our podcast, we'll be adding probably some blog posts from your Matty Sells and from some of the stuff I have going on. All sorts of stuff. You'll see our videos on there, and we'll have our contact information linked. Other than that, jackspropertypros.com. You can find me there, or you can shoot me an email, ryan.robbins@era.com. Pretty simple.
Awesome. Well, I am a little more open than that. Call me, 904-574-1958, because my phone rings all the time. So
call me maybe.
I don't really care. Call me maybe. So that's my cell phone. If you guys have questions, concerns, anything you want us to elaborate on in the show, if I don't answer, leave me a voicemail. I'll get back to you, I promise. Assuming you're not a crazy person, and we'll go from there. You can hit me up on a couple websites. I got mattysells.com, which is the sales website, and then for a property management standpoint, which we'll get into property management on this podcast quite a bit, at 904rents.com, and also matthew.miller@era.com. That's Matthew with 2 T's. Somebody spelled it with 1 T, and I didn't know what they were doing. I'd never seen anybody spell Matthew with 2 T's. So Matthew with .miller@era.com, 904-574-1958. If we can help you in any way, we'd be glad to do it. Any plans for the weekend, my man?
I've got a bachelor party I'm going down to down in Tampa. So
what are you guys doing down there?
We've got a house.
Some shenanigans?
Yeah, you can't give away all the secrets. We got a house on the water for the weekend, so.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
So just kind of chilling.
Will this be out in time? Can I have somebody come by? Anybody with a boat? Come pick us up.
Anybody with a boat in Tampa? If you are, call my cell phone number and I will get you over to Ryan.
So yeah, no, that's my weekend. So I'm heading down there tomorrow. Cutting the workday a little short and heading out of town. What do you got going on?
Well, I guess you got to do a couple. Saturday morning, got to do a couple showings, and then Saturday afternoon, I'll probably work on the house a little bit, do some landscaping around this joint. I got this tree I want to cut down in the front of this damn thing. I'll try to do that, and then Sunday morning, I'm going to go up to Amelia Island and try to get around the golfing up there on the island.
Awesome.
So that'll be fun. Take the girlfriend up there for a few hours and some lunch, and I don't have to watch Jaguars football because they're on a bye, so I don't get the pain of that week, or this weekend, I guess. I don't have to deal with the pain. That's pretty much about it. So yeah. Well, hey. Well, anyway, thanks for joining us, man, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you.
All right. See you, buddy.
Later, guys.
Can you hear the outro?
Nope.
Oh, I was like, you're like
just
dancing
jamming
right to it. I was like,
just jamming.
Dancing like
I heard like the doo-doo, and that was it.
Deuces.